certified facilitator and an empowering coach. Welcome all. Happy to have you all here, waiting for all of you to join in for me to start the talk show with our lovely, lovely guest, Dr. Adeela Feast today. So I look forward to talk to you guys. I'll just wait for you guys all to join in for me to start, please. So let me go online and check who all are there. Hello, 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 everyone who's joining in. What else is possible? So there's another 2 minutes to start. So maybe I'll give you my introduction. Meanwhile, let me see if I'm online with you guys because I really, really can't see online from the Zoom. Yes, here I go. Hi, Arveen. Nice to see you. I'll give you mine. Yes. Hello, Rupa. Hello, Ritu. So I'm seeing it on my other screen. Who all are you here? So thank you. Hey, Rohini. Hello, hello. Thank you all for joining in. So yeah, lovely to see all of you always. And thank you for being here. Thank you for being the space you truly be, all of you. And wonder what fun and what excitement, because I'm really excited about Adeela today being here. So hello, Swati. Hello, Sonali. Hello, everyone who's joining in. So meanwhile, I'll let you know a bit about Be the Change. Hello, Indrajit. Good evening to see you. Happy to see you. So it's like, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you for coming in and joining in with me. And so Be the Change page and the talk show, it was inspired by my own growing up years where I really wanted to, kind of always talk about and see how people don't give up and how, because I always used to think that, if I have to work in my life, how would I work? How do you get ideas to work? So it was funny, and how I used to read Femina magazines and other magazines to, kind of go through the experiences of each one going through the tough time. And so it was like, okay, what strength did they get? So Be the Change is also kind of inspired from all those years of me learning and reading about so many people. So it's about actually, I'd love to invite people who actually followed their heart, actually followed their difference, who they be. Because in this reality, we are so accustomed to follow others and be like others and copy others and be a specific, a doctor, an engineer, or certain specific things which are so right according to our society. So what if it is not about right and wrong? What if it's about actually your knowing and the difference you be? So I really love to invite people who actually followed their heart. And I know it would have been tough for a few of them, and some it would have been easy, but yet they followed their heart and they didn't give up. And that's the way they're creating a difference on the planet. So I know we all are weird ones, we all are different. So this is a space and place where I invite you all to actually look into yourself and see the difference in yourself and acknowledge the difference you be, so that you can be in the world. And when you're here, you can actually let others know what gift you are, rather than trying to be the same and like everyone. So that is the space I really invite. And anybody of you who think, who's actually following their heart and have that courage and have created a difference, please get in touch with me or my team, and I'll be so grateful, to have you on this platform and talk. And what inspiration can you be for the world? So hope I have you one day on my chat talk show, and hope this talk show inspires you to actually follow your heart. And today's guest is a very, very special friend of me, Dr. Adeela Feast. She's a life and a business facilitator and a creator unlike any other. She's a visionary who champions others to see possibilities, be daring, and transforms their life and success. Adeela works globally as a facilitator, behavioral specialist, and a healer to help you do just that, change the things you thought you couldn't. She is the founder of the Body Whispering and the Business Whispering with, and these are the classes and sessions that provides a platform for remarkable change and awareness that can be hard to find. She specializes in and utilizes access consciousness and her unique blend of mind-body facilitation that will help you identify and clear subconscious blocks, change ingrained repetitive patterns, and be the star of your own success story. She's amazing, guys. I have had so many sessions with her, and I think she's purely magical. She just like ships just being around somebody, and she is really powerful, and she knows how to talk to bodies. She knows how to talk and listen to the whispers of the bodies in the business. I've had the first-hand experience, and I can never thank her enough for actually getting me into this energy world, because she's the one who I learned things from. So I'm very excited to welcome her. Adeela, can we have you online here? Hello, Adeela. Thank you for saying yes to this platform. How did I get so lucky to be interviewing you today? And you have been like the one person who has been really important in my life, who actually paved my way towards energy work. And I'm so grateful. And thank you for being here, and welcome to Be the Change Talk Show.
Such a privilege. Thank you so much. And it's really wonderful to not only be here with you, but to see what you're creating and to see the platform you have created and are continuing to create and expand into. And yeah, the pleasure and the privilege is all mine.
Thank you so much. And I wonder where to start. There is so much to say about you, but yeah, I would love to start it from my first experience with you. And I remember meeting you in Jaipur, which was a Access Consciousness program, 7-day Jaipur event, where I first time met you. And I guess, and then I came in, I did a class with you called Body Whispering class. And I didn't know where I was getting, because I just had to get into every class Access was doing. And it sounded very interesting to me to how to listen to the whispers of the body, because I always thought that I do not know what to do. And I remember that class, like had been into Access and been doing a lot of classes with energy work, but could never get the word energy. And how you taught it like changed my entire world. And like I'm like, wow, I know how to talk to bodies. Like I can get them, I can touch them, I can change them, and I can be that miraculous. So I wonder where your journey started. And I know before that you were a chiro practitioner, and you've done. So can we have a little start of your journey from your end, how it started much before that, and how you actually got into body whispering and business whispering?
Sure. Where I'm at, what I'm creating, the body whispering work, especially, which now also we now have business whispering as well, and baby whispering is taking off as well as these classes. It's definitely not where I expected to be, and it's not what I thought I was out here creating, or what my role or my job in the world was going to be. I'm almost what you would call, well, what I used to be is a very high compliance type of person. I was always someone that listened to teachers, listened to parents, listened to people. Everything outside was, taken and trusted when it came to information given to us about how to be, what was best for us, what's expected. Success was very much defined by the norms that we see, exactly like you just talked about, lawyers, doctors, money, to a certain extent. My family, where I've come from, would probably be defined as middle class. In New Zealand, in New Zealand, we're very lucky. Also, we are a country where we're a country of great norms. We have like a very strong middle social structure. So we have the bottom end, we have the top end, but most people fit into this medium norm. And my family would fit in there. I never expected to really proceed or wish to pursue anything that was going to be too far on the outer extent of that, on one hand. And then on the other hand, I always had these big dreams and these big asks. And I would always say things, even from, I just remember being a little girl, probably around 8 or 9 years old, when you start to get an awareness of the world. And I would always say things like, you know, I'm going to be really rich. I'm going to have this kind of house with, you know, a pool and a mansion and palm trees, stuff that also, FYI, New Zealand we're a small country and it's cold. And a lot of the things that were on my wish list, to a degree, they're like normal, or it's possible to have them in a lot of other countries, but in New Zealand, they're not so common. So, you know, I'm going to have home help, and I'm going to have maids, or I'm going to have a cook or a chef, and I'm going to have a rich, good looking husband, and I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And literally, I think it was very entertaining for my family.
Wow.
Very entertaining for my family.
You mean you also went the same childhood like we all spent?
Yeah, I think they laughed. I think you know, the number of times I heard ha ha ha, like, oh my God, this girl and her dreams, or whatever, you know, like, yeah. So that was one hand and one side of me growing up, and the other side of me growing up, as I said, is that high compliance, like that high level of acceptance and fitting in, like always doing well and wanting to do well, but never in that form of sticking out. You know, my vision of success was not to be unique and to stand out and to look or be different. You know, success was fitting in and like being head girl, or being recognized as a top student, or achieving well, going on to have a good profession and a good career. And it's very interesting to me, even that where I've ended up is outside a lot of those norms and boundaries that I would never have considered I would be on the other side of.
But did you not dream them? You mean you dreamt of something and you created it? Is that so? Or you didn't dream them at all?
Yeah, so basically all my dreams came true.
Oh, you mean you're allowed to dream? Guys, you can dream, and dreams do come true. Here, Adeela,
Yeah.
please say so. So do
You're
dream.
allowed to dream, and dreams do come true. And sometimes, though, it's nice to not realize I never did it from a place of resistance. You know, sometimes people do it from a place of, as you said before, for some people the journey is ease, and for some people it's a real fight. For me, the fight was more internal, around out creating. And this is what I can say to you now as I look back. It never felt like that. That wasn't the awareness of what was happening at the time. At the time, I was just doing what I guess intuitively came to me, and didn't, I think, I'd never realized how different I was, is what I'm saying, actually. I never realized that the internal drive, or the thoughts that I had, or how things worked for me and made sense to me, they weren't that normal. And then by the time I got into chiropractic college, I started hearing the word weird a lot used about me, but not in a bad way either, because also chiropractic college is this wonderful space where we're kind of like, a lot of us who are chiropractors, you know, it was actually the most nurturing space I could end up in to help lead
Wow.
me to where I am now. But
So
weird
if
is
you're
this.
different, you don't die. I mean, if you're different, you become Adeela Feeds.
If you don't
Kind of,
die, if you don't give
kind of,
up.
kind of. I mean, people like so scared, Adeela, like to be different, to actually speak out what they are and who they are, because if they let the difference be out, then they
Yeah.
probably might not survive. So probably that's the result, guys. I just want to pinpoint that. Yes, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, and the awareness of that, Aradhana, probably really came, I mean, that became a more conscious and cognitive thing for me later, when like I said, it took me years, so perhaps cute, not
What
bright
was
in
that?
many
What was that?
instances.
What was that actually made you acknowledge the difference that you're different than others?
when I started to deviate away from the norms, and after I had graduated, probably as a chiropractor. So when I started realizing that there's more possible. And so I think for many of us, it's that drive for more, like, I want more. But you're meant to be happy in that medium norm, right? And so when I guess I started hitting my head up against that upper level of what everyone else was doing and what was normal and successful and enough, or should have been enough for most other chiropractors, or most other, women of my age and race and background and culture and family, like when I got to like that upper limit of where I should like be happy and start to settle down, settle in, settle, when I was just like, oh, this is like nowhere near enough for me, like what else is out there, that's when it became something that started to become more maybe in my face, if you want to say it that way. What started to become in my face was having to struggle with the discontent around it would be much more convenient for everyone else if I was happy now and would just settle in every sense of the word. And yet for me, not being able to reconcile that and keeping on looking for more and keeping on looking at what else is
Oh,
possible.
oh, you mean asking more is also not wrong. Discontent is not wrong.
Yeah, discontent is not wrong. I think it gets made really wrong in this
Yeah,
reality, right? It
true.
gets, I think it gets used, I think the words are like,
It's like you're
what?
never satisfied. You're not,
You're
what
never
do you do part of
satisfied.
your
It's
life?
never enough.
Yeah,
Why is it never enough? And if you think
yeah.
about
And there's no
children,
end to the world. You can keep going asking, but there's no
you can
end. So
keep
where
on
do you want to
asking,
go?
right?
Yeah,
And as
true
parents,
that.
when parents are like, no, well, you can't just have everything you ask for. Like parents feel this need to teach their children that
Correct.
they can't just have everything.
True that. So guys, you can have permission granted today. If that can be an invitation for you guys, it's not wrong. So stop making yourself wrong. That's
Yeah.
it's normal. It's normal. It's weird, but it's the weird is the normal, new normal, right, Adeela?
Weird is the new normal. I think that should be the hashtag. Weird is the new normal, because
Yes.
everything that we're seeing also now, like what's succeeding now in society and in reality and in the world, is weird. It's what was not acceptable and normal and average, however, like
Wow.
2, 3, 4, 5, 15 years ago. But now weird is the new normal, because everyone we see succeeding, the people that we're looking to for change, the people that we're now looking at to create the different world that we're all ready for and asking for and wanting, yeah, they're not normal.
But if I may ask, then it was like you did your practitioner, and I guess you met your husband, and you kind of and he was doing pretty well. So wasn't that enough that you get married and you have a nice husband who's really earning, who's a rich husband? Did you really had to do something beyond that? Like what was that? Wasn't that the middle class family thing that you've done, and now you have your husband who's a rich husband, and you can be just at home chilling out?
My husband wasn't the rich, successful man you necessarily see now. And my husband is a very capable, very successful man in his own right. And I'm very, very proud of him. We come from two completely different cultures and countries and backgrounds and religions. One of the things that I'm a little bit notorious for, I'm a little bit more aware now in some ways, but one of the ways that I got through life and used it to my advantage was this naivety. So I'd end up in situations and I didn't expect them to be hard, and I didn't know they were meant to be hard. Like my husband, I grew up in a Muslim background family, and he's from a Sikh background and family. And
Wow.
I never knew, and I never considered, like, they have a whole history, like they actually have this whole history about these two religions and cultures being at war. And of course,
True, that's
like Gary's dad, my father-in-law now, who I absolutely adore, one of the most wonderful men I've actually met, very spiritual, like very into his culture and heritage, and a big part of the Sikh culture and community, and founders of the Sikh community in New Zealand, in Manurewa in New Zealand, where we are. And then my dad, the equivalent for the Muslim community growing up
wow.
in
That's
New Zealand.
amazing, guys.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I didn't realize I was, creating potential conflict.
The ripples. Adeela, he's creating the ripples in the world with the Muslims and Sikhs getting together, the two hardcore where people are like been fighting, how she actually has been changing the world. Wow. Thank you, Adeela. That's more beautiful. That is actually beautiful. Wow. Asking more.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't intend to, but it has created a lot. And we obviously, for me to marry the man that I married, he's different and unique enough in his own ways. And so we met, and I thought he was wonderful, but it wasn't life at that time. I was practicing as a chiropractor 2 years after graduating. Life just wasn't enough. So I was like, okay, well, I'm done here. And I moved to Australia. I was like, I'm off. And I left my job and my family and Gary, and I was like just willing to leave everything behind and start fresh. And then Gary's pretty humanoid, pretty quick,
Did
very
you not
quick.
have the fear? Did you not have the fear of losing everyone? Like just like stepping out from everyone? What was that?
I was very willing to lose everyone and everything at that point, because probably at that point I was like, if this is all there is, then it's not enough. And so I'd rather go and test the waters and either fail miserably or
You,
or
you definitely were weird. You
yeah.
definitely were weird.
I see, like that to me doesn't seem so strange. And
Nice.
where I was heading to, I mean, I don't know. I just guess I knew, or I thought I was going to be okay, or I thought it would be worth whatever the cost was, or I can't explain to you, Aradhana, actually what was the. I definitely can't explain the rationale, but I definitely knew it was time to go, and I was following the energy, and it was so much ease. Like, this is the thing. I don't actually work hard against energy, like I've said, like with all the things that I've done, looking back, and sometimes, I facilitate a lot of people in a lot of classes, and I speak to a lot of people. And it's now that people say things to me like, you're saying perhaps that how did you deal with being so different and getting through all these challenging situations and blah blah blah. And I'm like, well, it never occurred to me at the time that it was challenging or hard or out of the ordinary, or that I was being abnormal.
Yeah. So how is it? I totally get you on that, Delia, because it's like we do not get because it comes so easy to us. So we don't get that whole thing that, wow, and everybody has it in them. So like when was it that you got that whole sense that, it's not with everybody? Like if I can perceive people, and I always thought that people, I'm sure everybody can perceive everyone, but
I
that was
think,
not the case. Yeah.
yeah, I think now, like in the last probably five, I mean, body whispering has been around as a class and sessions now for about 7 to 8 years, right? I think between body whispering, facilitating work, classes, and my chiropractic work, I've now seen hundreds and actually I've seen thousands of people literally, and worked with thousands of people, thousands of families. So it's that awareness that builds when you see how hard everyone else's life is, and you see, you know, what clients are choosing and what your participants in your class are saying and what families are going through daily, and they're coming to see me in my office. And, you know, like you, like many of us, like we've seen and heard it all, like in life. And I guess age just has a little bit to do with it. You know, you get a little bit older and you see more of the world, and you start to experience more and see what's going on around you. And but even people really close to me, like I see them choosing so much difficulty, so much pain. It's so hard.
You mean
And
life
I'm
can be
like,
easy, Adeela?
yeah, well, like, I just don't know why you choose things to be so hard.
Why? Why is that? Tell me why.
What, like,
If it's easy, then it's not life, you know?
yeah, I mean, I can now see the real value in that, like the point of view where people create the real value around if it's not hard, it's not worth it. Like there's all these quotes around it as well. As you start to own a business and you become an entrepreneur, there's all these quotes around, you know, if it's easy, it's not worth it. If it was meant to be easy, everyone, like, you know, everyone would be doing it. Everyone's not doing it because it's not easy and you're going to fail and it's not that easy to succeed. And all of this stuff, it's like it's ingrained in us, and we're brainwashed to expect life and want life to be hard. And if it's not hard, then something must be wrong.
Wow. That's amazing. So if I've been noticing like your journey, and I can see that you've been following your heart, which means you have been following the energy of everything. Like we term it as heart, but I'm sure we all, you know, kind of following the energy which you have been following from your childhood, as you've been telling us with your story. So what is it that actually led you to Cairo practitioner and then to this body whispering sessions, and how was that transition? And can you say around that?
Yeah, up until that point of choosing chiropractic, it was such a, you know, it's almost something that could have led to be thought it was chance, but chiropractic and chiropractic college, the one that I attended in New Zealand, like it completely changed the trajectory of my life. So like I said to you, it was such a nurturing space that encouraged so much diversity and different thinking based on where I had come from. So for me, chiropractic college, you know, I was heading down that path and I was going to do medical. I was going to do something to do with people. I did the undergrad of health sciences that allows you to enter into the health field. And then I came across chiropractic, and that chiropractic is really strong on something called philosophy. It's like the main reason behind what chiropractors do is actually this belief in the innate intelligence of the body. And when I was reading about it and also reading the college prospectus, they were talking about helping people and making the world a better place. And I also realized it's a way to work with people to help make their lives better, but it's very different. It's not necessarily like working in critical emergency care where you're literally saving people's lives and that's the interaction, whereas with chiropractic you have an opportunity to make their quality of life better and change their experience of pain or things in their body and contribute to how their nervous system works and how they're integrating with the world around them. So there was something in that, there was enough in that, and again, naivety, thinking it was going to be like easier than a medical school, thinking it was going to be, yeah, fairly easy. The way they presented it, you know, was like you studied for 5 years, you became a chiropractor, then you had a chiropractic practice and you made lots of money and you saw lots of patients and life was great. And I thought, that sounds great. That's exactly what I want. Thank you very much. And again, if I knew how hard it was going to be from the start, if we knew how hard those 5 years were going to be, especially the last two, when we start getting into clinic and have to meet all these requirements, and how hard it is to start a practice from scratch, or even just go out as a new grad and become successful as a chiropractor, it's not the dream that they sell you. Like every industry, this
But
isn't
like I love that you didn't know about it. Had you known the future, like how we always want to predict the future, you would have not been here where you are today, Adeela. And I think that's when, we go into the conclusions and we want to know the future so that we are not wrong. But sometimes it's not wrong, and it doesn't really sound so tough when you're into it because it's so much of fun for you. Isn't that like, for me, it's like every moment is a surprise. I remember long back somebody telling me that, what if every next moment is a surprise? And I'm like, what is that? And
yeah.
actually I really enjoyed that
And
because
why would
when
that
you
be a good thing?
yeah, and it was like, follow your heart, and then the challenge doesn't look like a challenge, and it's just like
Yeah.
being present. But I'm glad you didn't know that. Had you known, we would not have had you here today, and
Yeah,
maybe you
I
would
didn't know a
listen.
lot of things. I didn't know a
So
lot
I
of
guess
things.
that naivety and that choice of like following your heart and actually knowing the energy and just keep following is an amazing invitation. And I think you're a great invitation for that, and that's what I love about you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
so how did that actually turn into a kind of listening to the bodies? And so I definitely get you had the philosophy thing in the chiropractitioners, but then
Yeah.
what?
Chiropractic, yeah, so again, chiropractic college, and this is what I mean. There's all these situations that were looks like chance, but now with the work that we do and the information and awareness we have, like, what is luck, what is coincidence, how many coincidences before it's not a coincidence anymore. So the chiropractic college I went to was big on this philosophy and on expanding our horizons. So I first met Dane, who is the co-founder of Access, as a student, where he would come to the Chiro College in Auckland in New Zealand. And at that time, Access was probably about 15 years ago, when I was still a student. Access would come out to New Zealand, I think, a couple of times a year. Gary and Dane would both come. We'd have level 2 and 3 at the time. We'd have Dane's classes. We'd have the 7 days. So they'd come regularly to New Zealand. And one of the things that Dane would do would just do a small talk at the college in the evenings or whatnot, or whatever. So I'd go to that along with lots of other speakers of a similar nature. So I'd been exposed to Access. I had a very good friend who was into Access, and she would run my bars. And I never thought that much of it or about it until I graduated. And then after I graduated, two things happened for me at a personal level. I started to really realize that, first of all, this still wasn't enough. Like, I loved chiropractic, but what I actually loved was the connection with my most aligned clients and seeing them change, or their body change, which created change in their life, which created change in their experiences. So the part I loved about chiropractic was the connecting and the dealing with people and the seeing them change. But the chiropractic practice I was in at the time was what we call a high volume practice. There's different styles of chiropractic practice, but the high volume practices, which is what is the most successful one in this reality, is you see a lot of clients in a very small amount of time. So you make a lot of money, but there's not much time to talk to those clients. It's about the adjustment rather than the connection at a verbal level. And so I was like, okay, this isn't enough. I want more. So then I was like, oh, I used to get my bars run when I was a student. I used to get that thing done. Maybe I'll look into it now. Maybe I'll learn how to run bars myself. So I only did my bars class when I graduated in my first year. So that it was 10, 11 years ago now, 10 years ago. And so then I got into bars, and then you do foundation, and then, I was hooked. And then I was like, within a month, I think Dane was coming, we had an ESB, and then I was into this, and, and then I was like, okay, I think this, because the very first advanced class I went to was ESB. I was like, oh, is this what I was aware of is possible? Is this that extra thing with the bodies and the energy and the what more is possible that I know energetically is possible, but no one is speaking about it. And the chiropractic adjustments on their own aren't doing it. And I don't know what to do. And so, that happened. And then over the years, I've done lots of other modalities along the way, both postgraduate as a chiropractor. So, I work with, as you would know, I work with a lot of children and babies, and started specializing in two aspects, working with pregnancy and children, and secondly, I started within chiropractic leaning more towards the emotional and the mind-body connection. So doing more of those techniques like applied kinesiology, looking at what else was going on at an emotional level, creating blocks rather than the physical pain side of things. And
so you
then
mean the emotional blocks when open, sorry. So when the emotional blocks opened, did the physical ailments changed?
Yes, and I still really, really love, and so body whispering, what it is and what it started. So yeah, then I, by that time I had met Gary, I was working, wasn't very happy with life. And then I was like, get all, I'm gonna
You mean you
leave.
were not
So,
very happy? I
pardon?
mean, your life looks so simple and easy.
Yeah, I was
You
meant
don't
to
have
be
any cry
happy.
story.
That's
You don't have any
exactly
cry
the
story. You don't
tagline.
have a drama in your life. How's that? What was that?
I
I don't
know,
see.
why was it not enough? That's exactly the question. And I think from the outside looking in, that's probably the question, why is this not enough? But yeah.
I mean, you did not create. So you literally are weird, Adeela. When I'm listening to you now, it's like it wasn't enough. But for that not being enough, you did not
You
make yourself
can't call
wrong.
me weird.
It's like you didn't make yourself wrong at all, and you did not create drama and trauma and like some tough life for yourself at all.
No, I mean, that's not necessarily fair in terms of the reasons I weren't happy, I guess, is I was creating I created a bit of drama at work, like with the people I was working with and stuff. So sometimes I've used like making something bad enough to motivate me to leave or get out of that situation, like when something's bad enough.
So you were smart. You did it in like a bits so that you can
Yeah,
just
there's
go
finally
through
a
it,
reason and
not like
justification.
wow, guys, smart
Yeah.
move. This girl is really, really smart. I like it. I'm loving
Yeah, I'll try not to tell everyone my secrets on the show, actually, but there's finally a reason and justification when something's bad enough in this reality that you're allowed to leave. You're allowed to make a different choice. And so for me, I used that. And I was like, whether it was like, I'm not making enough money here, this is really hard, like I can't make this work, I don't like the style, it's not getting on with my bosses, like I don't feel supported, whatever Australia is the land of opportunities, whatever it was, and off I went. And yeah. But it was very easy at the same time that I was
guys,
trying to
can you
make
see
it hard.
that? That can be easy. I'm not very sure that people would love to listen to your stories, like because it's such a simple story, Adeela. You don't have a drama in life, girl. I mean, you have to have a drama for your story to really, really go through a lot of people and be heard. Because why can simple life be so happening and happy? And you just need to create a little bit drama to push yourself. I'm amazed. What an invitation, man. Don't choose that, guys, at all, ever. But that's amazing. I am really, I've always been looking for somebody in my life, that somebody who doesn't have drama, who doesn't have and can actually just keep choosing more and more and more and creating more. And I always had that sense of peace around you. And I think that's when you're my favorite. So it's like today I get it. Like what's that? And like, she didn't make that ease wrong, because she didn't buy that point of view from the world that, okay, you really, really have to make your life crappy to actually create something greater in your life. That's such a great invitation, Adeela. I love that. Yeah, coming from that space, so what else? So how did that whispering thing actually got in? Because that has changed my entire life for sure. So I would like you to say more around those sessions and stuff. And
Yeah.
so
Like,
what actually made you
it's
start
so
and kind of,
funny hearing you say that. It's so, isn't it fascinating? And we've known each other for that Jaipur
yeah,
7-day event was in
yeah,
2014.
almost
So
seven
7
years.
years now, 7 years. Um, and we've never kind of like had this conversation, but I think it's because we have this a similarity here where, but for you, no matter how hard it might be, whatever you might be going through, you always make it look easy. You
Yeah.
always choose the ease of it, the easy option of it. Other people would choose much less, many smaller situations and many smaller obstacles to be the reason and justification for them to choose hard and to, have to be the victim and to play the blame game and to, all of that. So yeah, fascinating, isn't it? Absolutely
Yeah.
fascinating. Um, the
Wow.
yeah the modalities that I use are starting to really see that what was changing and what was creating change wasn't the chiropractic. And I say that not like I still use and love and advocate for chiropractic a lot. I'm just saying the limitation of looking at it. It's the same limitation with the medical model or any model. In this reality, when we think things are linear and that your back pain would be just about your back and something mechanical. Whereas the work that I was doing, I was starting to realize if I used the kinesiology technique, if I used neuro-emotional technique, which looks at trauma that's stored in the body, if I use the access clearing or ask questions, it was related to something emotional or a belief or an experience that they'd had that they hadn't integrated. It was being stored in their body. It was creating pain. It was creating dysfunction. And they didn't have a way to let it go and to be facilitated through it. So they'd keep coming back to the chiropractor every week to deal with their back issue. But it wasn't a back issue. It was a mother-in-law issue or a father-in-law issue or a
Wow.
money issue, something else, that if we dealt with that, the back pain goes away.
Wow. Wow. And how did you kind of figure that out? Like,
It
isn't that so
just,
interesting? Like, wow.
at this point, I think it's a numbers game, because when you see it once, you go, oh, okay, that must be chance. When you see it twice, you think, interesting. When you see it 20 times, you go, there might be like a correlation or a pattern here. When you see it like 100 and then 1,000, and then when you see it like 80% of the time, you're like, okay, well, for me, I was like, I've got to pursue this. For other people, maybe they wouldn't make that choice, but for me, I was like, well, this option is obviously way better and way more effective, so why would you not go here? Right?
So how was
So
it? How was it that people were willing to receive that? Like,
I don't know.
compared to the
Probably.
medical, like to getting to something, like you made it, like you created, your thoughts
Yeah, I
created.
guess finding that those clients that are attracted to you, like you have the universe where it's working with you, it's conspiring with you to find the people that are looking for you, find you in the most random way, and then you have some, and then they start referring other like-minded people. And then on the other hand, you still have those completely, set in this medical system model clients, and you would just know, like, you have the awareness not to talk about that stuff with them. You just do their adjustment every week, and that's what they're there for, because they need that back pain in their life. They have created it for a reason. They don't want to look at what's causing it, really. They don't want to address it. They can't afford to not have it, because then they'd have to look at what's underneath it. So you just do their adjustment, give them what they need. It's like meeting people where they're at. So the more though I started doing this and then adding in like the access and then adding in my intuitive, like I think this is what the body's saying, I think this is what it needs, I think you need to take twice the amount of magnesium that you've been prescribed, I think you need to cut this out of your diet, like that
Did you
intuitiveness.
not doubt it ever?
I trust, see, would I doubt myself? 100%, sure. I don't doubt the work. I never doubt my work.
Wow.
And
That's
I
amazing.
learned a long time ago to not make my work about me.
Say more
This
about that. It's
when I'm
beautiful.
facilitating, when I'm working with you, and I've got someone on the table, it's not about me. There's no room for my ego. But that also the flip side to ego is there's no room for doubt, because doubt is also the shadow side of ego, isn't it? Like if you wonder if you're doing it wrong or if you're wrong, that means that you're doing it. Whereas with the work that I do, with body whispering especially, I'm now at the point where it's so clear to me that I'm the vessel for it, I'm the facilitator of it and for it. I'm the, whatever you want to call it, the person
I'm
that
curious,
downloaded it.
did you ever get any resistance from your family or the co-fellow workers of the chiropractitioners? Like you were different and you were working very differently. And over the years,
Naivety, again, naivety. I didn't realize what I was doing was different. Probably didn't then have this thing around me of like, I'm different. Look at me, judge me. Like, didn't have resistance around it because I didn't realize this was different. So thought I was doing what all the other chiropractors were doing.
the world can see it, but we can ourselves can never see it. That's so amazing, right?
When I started doing access, I didn't become a facilitator for years. I love access. I did it for like a solid 5 years before I even thought about becoming a CF, because my point of view was literally everyone else in this room is a CF. We're all doing exactly the same thing. What would be different about me doing it? Like the world doesn't need, I couldn't see what was different about me doing it. Same with chiropractic.
So somebody wants to ask that what is it about the doubt and the ego being, if you can talk among it's on the same lines.
Yeah,
So
sure. So the work comes through me and I trust the work. I trust awareness. I trust consciousness. Also, as a chiropractor, I trust the techniques. As an access facilitator, I trust the tools or the processes. As a neuro-emotional technique practitioner, I knew that I just had to get out of my head and follow the protocol. When you have room for doubt, that's when things go wrong. But that's when you've gone to being cognitive. Now, one of the major and the biggest premise of body whispering and business whispering as well is do not go cognitive. There's actually no space. If you go to using your mind, you're going to go to doubt, you're going to go to judgment, you're going to go to past reference point, and you're going to go to like, is this right? Is this wrong? This doesn't make sense. Body whispering is really about, there's no room for your conclusions here. Are you willing to actually listen to what the body is saying and just be the translator for that into this reality, so your client or your person on the table or the person you're trying to help can actually receive the change that they're asking for or that the body is
people,
trying to facilitate?
yeah. So I love what you say, and but yet a lot of people. I mean, one tip you would like to give people, like what is that thing? Because people, most of the people will say we do not get what body says, and I get it
Totally.
now. And I remember I was like that, and when I for the first time got into Adeela's class, and though I had been doing access for a year, and I get it, but I did not knew in a layman's language what actually energy is, how to read energy, how my body is telling me, and how things are. And I remember being in your class for 2 days, and I always quoted this example to the whole world, like, and I remember I came home and I was with my family, and I was just sitting with my brother and I was just touching, and I kept doing it that for like almost 4 5 days every time. And one day I did not touch him, and Then he comes and tells me, he's like, why aren't you putting your hand on me? I'm like, why do I have to put? He's like, no, when you put, I know you used to change something every day in me, no? Like, I felt so light. And I kept looking at him, I'm like, what? Really? He says, yeah. I said, no, I just felt like doing that too. So I used to do that. And he says, no, but please do it because it really used to take something out of me and change and shift something. And that's when it like gave me the triggers of your class. That's what she was saying. So I know like my body just takes me there and it makes me do all that stuff. Was like, so I'm like, did I always had it and I didn't know that? So I mean, you're such a beautiful gift. Like it's like words are not enough, but yet for people who are so new, who do not know energy. So what one thing can you say about like how to sense your body, how to be with your body?
Yeah. Even I don't know what I'm doing. I couldn't explain it to you cognitively. And I think that's why the word energy work, because it's so undefinable, it makes people go into so much judgment and doubt and need for clarity and need for control. Because how do you know if you're doing it right or wrong if you don't know what you're meant to be feeling and you don't have a definition of it, right? But okay, so here are my tips. Again, if you don't worry about the result and don't worry about if you're doing it right or wrong, be willing to be present. All that is required is that you're present and you're willing to follow this intuitive nudge that you will get about what to do, where to place your hands, how to move your body or your client's body. Now, for those of you that are thinking, I'm not going to get that intuitive nudge. What do you mean by that? How am I going to receive it? I'm pretty sure I won't. I'll be the person in the room that doesn't get the intuitive nudge, right? Well, I can guarantee that you've already received and had and experienced that intuitive nudge in your life. Body whispering is the term that I use for when your gut clenches, when you feel like something isn't right. It's that heaviness you perceive when somebody's just lied to you or judged you, but you don't have the words to figure out what's just happened because it's happened underneath the surface. It's that joy that you feel and you can't explain why when it's a really beautiful sunny day and you feel like nature is talking to you or the birds are singing for you. It's that feeling that when your body is like, I really feel like ice cream, I really feel like ice cream, I really feel like ice cream. And you're like, I don't even like ice cream, but okay, I'm going to eat it. And it's exactly what, like, you get so happy. It's the most delicious thing you've ever had. So body whispering is about trusting the signals and the signs and the communication your body is giving to you. Your body doesn't talk. It doesn't use words, sorry. So it's just about interpreting the language of the body. Just like with baby whispering, our babies don't talk, but nearly every mother intuitively knows when their baby needs something and can respond to that baby's needs. And sometimes where the funk occurs and what baby whispering is about, because it's an extension of body whispering, I'll talk about it, is around ages 2 onwards, parents and families start to really want their kids to start talking, start using their words. And we start to value that verbal communication over and above all the other communication. When that baby was a newborn, when they're only 6 months old, we don't expect them to talk, so life is fine. We are fine with crying and non-verbal communication. We feel how the baby's body feels, we look at other signs and cues, and they're responding to our energy in our body, and we're responding to their energy in their body. But after 2, and then especially after the age of 5, when we're wanting that kid to talk to us, because we've now gone into this reality's conditioning around, okay, well, I don't know if you're not telling me and I'm not listening with my ears, so I don't know until it's very clearly spoken. But verbal
Wow.
communication is very ineffective.
Wow. And we expect
Verbal
so much from those kids. That's wow. Wow.
And often what we're hearing is not correct or true, not from the kids, not on purpose, but what I'm talking about is the limitation of using verbal communication only, as this reality values so highly. Whereas our intuitive gut, like when I, as a friend, say to you, hey, Aradhana, how are you? And you say, yeah, I'm good, but you're not good. And I pick up, you're not good.
Yeah.
But this reality makes it uncomfortable for me to be like, no, I feel like something's not right. Tell me what's going on. Are you really okay? But this reality encourages us to believe what comes out of your mouth and just stop at that point. Well, she said she's good. I asked. I did my part. Why would I not believe her? You know, not picking up on your energy, the other communication from your body, the discomfort, the incongruence between words and energy, all of that stuff is
Yeah, so
about body
that's where you
whisper.
said, oh, you build trust your energy, not the cognitive awareness. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cognitive mind is based entirely on learnt behavior and past reference points, and uses the need for judgment. And when I say judgment, I mean like the need to be able to discern quickly if something is safe, something is accurate, something is okay or not. It's our very basic instinct. Our cognitive mind uses rationale, it uses thinking, and it uses, like I said, stuff that we should rely on, information we've been taught. Our intuition, energy, body whispering, awareness, consciousness relies on non-verbal. It relies on the energetic information available. It relies on energetic congruence. When something is incongruent, so for example, when you said, yeah, I'm okay, but your body's like, we're not okay, your being is like, we're not okay, that incongruence for me speaks so loudly, I can't hear the words.
Yeah. Wow. So that's a practice and that's a muscle to build up with your body to listen to your body.
Everyone
So
can do this.
yeah.
Everyone can do this.
Wow. Guys, you can do it. You can do it. If I can do it, you can do it for sure. So there's a
If I
question that
can do it, you can do it. I am honestly like,
and I
this
think
is
you were a
not,
very technical aspect. You were like
I'm
very
a very left brained,
cognitive, left, yeah.
cognitive, head tripping, academic, science based, person. So
Yeah.
if I can
You need a
do this,
logic. You needed a logic for everything.
logic
So how
needs
did that go? Like today's world, Adeela, if I may ask, it might be, because you've built up a reputation, you have your own chiropractor office and a clinic, which you kind of shut down also was like a big, big step. Like I saw
yeah.
you going through it and like, taking that move and I'm so glad you did. And like you were aware of the future. So it's like you did that but you have a kind of a clientele which you have built over the years, over the word of mouth, and maybe New Zealand is more open. But with this pandemic thing and everything going around the world, people would not actually trust into this energy work, and they like, it's more. How do you go there, and how's that going on with you?
Yeah. To be fair, to be honest, it's definitely easier now than it was. I mean, when I first started doing this, no one knew what body whispering was, all the other modalities. Like now, we at least have some awareness of homeopathy, of naturopathy, of complementary medicine, things like access consciousness, meditation, mindfulness. They're actually in fashion. Okay, so 10 years ago, even chiropractic was on the fringe. And so it was hard, I guess.
So how did you build up your clientele? Like, what was that? What was within you? Like, probably you never gave up, or was it a kind of a voice that you know what you know? What was that, Adeela? Because I'm sure it would have been difficult at that point of time to be as a chiropractor.
Yeah, it was. It was. I guess I didn't give up.
Yeah. And you didn't pay attention. Again, the naivety. Like,
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
pay. I know I have some.
Use it to your advantage, guys. The naivety, like
Yeah.
definitely it was hard, and I definitely wanted to give up the chiropractic. Like, even the chiropractic was hard. Chiropractic, like, there's even a judgment about chiropractors being like on the fringe, as I said. So it was hard enough doing that, let alone, some of the stuff that to me is just so normal. People are like, whoa, you're like so woo-woo. And I'm like, what do you mean? Muscle testing is completely normal. Like, what do you mean this is alternative? Like, I don't understand. And and
That's
it's still
so
like that.
interesting.
But I want to address a few. I actually quickly saw a question on the Facebook thread as well, saying, do you think it was easier based on the country you're from and the culture? And
Yeah.
I actually thought it was harder because, like I said, New Zealand's actually a very small country, and we're very like happy with the way things are. So there's no need for change. So change is not something people embrace here. Different is not something people embrace here. So yeah, I don't think that it's actually any easier or necessarily harder. The circumstances will always look different for each person based on their country. But again, the way body whispering has worked and the way this work has led me, like it's pulled me, it makes no cognitive sense for me. I'd never been to India before, and then I started coming to India and then working in India, and like one of my largest bases is India now, and then Europe and Southeast Asia, and I'm getting all these clients from like amazing places on the complete other side of the world now, um, all online, as you say,
Yeah.
through word of mouth, referral based, or people see my website or my social media and they're drawn to it. And yeah, I guess to answer your question, it's just continuing to show up. It's and that was the hardest thing for me. It was really, really hard for me. The first time I posted up a class, I think the body whispering class in Australia, like I actually felt like I was going to be killed. Like I felt like I was going to be persecuted because and it was more around like, who am I to be seen and to do this and to claim and own and acknowledge that I could teach something or do this work. What were my qualifications? What were my background? And that might seem hilarious, that might seem funny because it might sound like I've got the qualifications, but for all of us, it's still never enough in our own eyes. And so I really struggled for many, many years with this visibility thing. I think many of you have been frustrated, as my friends and as team and as people who've worked with me over the years, that you, because I think you perceived the greatness available and how big the energy was and could be, and actually that I held it back for many years because of this visibility, and I guess wanting to avoid the judgment that
Yeah.
occurred in the for the first few years, like years I dealt with that.
Yeah, but it's funny when you say that because I never doubted you. Until they don't doubt, and I'm on a global team, guys. Like, so I'm like a permanent member, irrespective. So
She's actually a
it's like
lifelong
I've stamped,
member, irrespective.
I'm a life. I've stamped myself onto her. Like, this is not going on. So I'm so grateful for her being in my life. So it's like I know it, and I could always see. I always could read and sense the energy, like thanks to her. And I've always seen her going greater and greater because this is the next world. This is the world everybody requires. And this is what we actually deep down within us looking for something, which probably you get when you're in her classes. And I've been there enough. Like nobody can even doubt me. I can vouch for it. It's like they just open a world which you knew was possible and you have been all your life looking for, and everything is inside you, so it just gives you that whole whisper of going within yourself, within your, and actually trusting your knowing. And Adeela, I've always been talking for years the congruency, which is the beautiful part of it. Like if you're congruent with your body and with your energy rather than with the words, it leads you to very, very different space and places. So yet at times what happens, Adeela, what another thing which was coming up, like going through the questions here, it's a lot of energy which shows that, like, people that, and you do a lot of money classes as well, and you doing the business whispering, which has come up new, and of course kids. So I know we're running short of time, but I just want to quickly have a little bit on that aspect, that people say that, if they're following this passion and they're following this something to go forward with this knowing, but that doesn't make them a money to like eat tomorrow morning. So how do they do and keep on at that point of time and not giving up? That if they're following their heart, but then they need to feed their families, they need to take care of the family. So how congruency can be like put there?
Yeah, thank you. Well, congruence is the most important thing. I've banged on about congruence for 10 years, and in the last class, my husband, before the night before the class, I woke up the next morning and he was like, "Oh, you were talking in your sleep again." I was like, "What was I saying?" And he was like, "You just kept saying the word congruent."
OMG.
I was
Even
like,
if I think of Adeela, it's congruence.
and I
I
was
think
like,
of Adeela and
"Oh,
it's congruence.
I was like, oh, class has started. That don't worry about that.
Yeah.
It's all right." Right. So I want to touch on a few things. Yeah, I'm aware of the time too, but these are the things coming up. So congruence, guys, what we mean by that. Congruence means what you say, what you think, what you feel, and what you do are in alignment at every level, at body, at being, and at mind. Incongruence is when your brain in this reality and conditioning is telling you you need to do your normal day-to-day job that fits into this reality and brings in a stable income so that you can feed your family, but your heart is like, I know something else is possible. I don't want to do this. I know that this is my heart is taking me somewhere else, and that's called incongruence. Incongruence is also what I was explaining before about in the body, when someone's saying one thing, but what their energy and their being is telling you, or their body is even indicating, our bodies give us away, just like animals. An animal will show you what's true, who's a safe person, who isn't. Watch who animals and children are attracted to. It'll tell you a lot. And so that incongruence is when something that is on one surface is not matching what's underneath that or above that. So no matter how much you try to make something work, if you're incongruent with it, there's going to be a limitation to that success. Sometimes the limitation will be that you should be making a lot of money and you should be happy with where you're at, but you're not. And so even though you should be making money, for some reason you're still managing to fail, which is one way, like I was saying before, we create that problem that gets big enough that we can justify choosing a different way. Or you get so unhappy that it creates problems in your body, in your mind, or in your life. Depression, mental health, but even physical ailments. How many of you have created a physical issue in your body to get out of a job or out of a relationship or out of a situation in your life? And so many chronic issues, those issues that do not get better, that I work with all the time, you're stuck in a situation that you're not quite brave enough to change or leave, but it's really not working for you. So you have this chronic condition that acts as a reason and justification for why you can't show up in your life, because you have this chronic pain or this chronic disease or this chronic illness. So that's incongruence. Congruence is, even though it doesn't make sense, even though choosing this path, now that I look back, it hasn't always been easy. And there's definitely been some moments, where the financial reality thing definitely created stress and definitely created me going into wrongness and being like, what the hell am I doing? When you're actually authentic and congruent, the money is a byproduct. The money will come. And that's what my podcast is about, the Business Whisperer podcast. And Aradhana's got the links for it. She'll share it.
Yeah.
There's
All the
these
links would be in the chat, guys. Yeah.
All these episodes, every week there's an episode about creating your business and your life in an authentic and intuitive way, not in a way that's incongruent. And when we show up congruently, the money follows, the success follows, the fame follows, whatever it is that you're searching for, it comes to you.
Wow.
Even
So
though
many
it
questions,
doesn't
Adeela.
make sense.
There's so many questions. I think we can go on and on. I guess we have to have another session with you very soon. And what else is possible, guys? I know we have a lot of other questions. So one last quick question: is the body process and the body whispering thing same? Is that like something?
Body process, as in body
And
process
body
class.
whispering. Yeah. So body process class, and when you run body processes and body whispering, is there a similarity
Oh,
between?
body whispering is free form work. Body whispering is about listening to the energy, the whispers of the body, and doing what's required. So what makes body whispering different is it's completely free form. There's no prerequisites for it, and there's no we actually now have, I used to be able to say this, we now have a body whispering process. It got downloaded in the last class. But what it still does is it's created a process around this free form energy work. So with body whispering class, everyone would come to this class and be like, I don't know what the whispers are saying. I don't know how to listen to the whispers. I don't know how to hear the body. I know how to do body processes or body work, but I don't know where to place my hands. It doesn't come naturally to me. How do I follow the whispers? How do I intuitively know what the body is asking for? That's what the body whispering class is about. We have people who have done every level and kind of body work. They're practitioners, they're chiropractors, they're Reiki masters, they're theta healers, they're maestros, they're CFs, they're body class practitioners and facilitators also that come to this class, and it helps them hear the whispers of the body and intuitively know where to place their hands, what to do. Do we work on the body, off the body, close to the body, on the other side of the room from the body? Now with the way we're doing the classes online, we're obviously doing the class by distance. You'll still see me doing an in-person body work demonstration, so you can learn how to do that. But then you're also learning how to do the distance session, and we have the distance swaps during the class.
When is the class, Adeela? Are we having the class soon?
Yeah, August 22nd, 23rd. Next month is the next online body whispering class, 22nd, 23rd. And the month after that is business. Yeah. So
and the kids also. And there's a free talk, right? And the kids whispering coming in.
Yes. That was today. So the link's going to go up. It was a few hours ago, but that's cool. And there's a baby whispering class next Saturday. After you do a body whispering class, you can start doing sessions straight away. And so you can do sessions in person, via distance, on the body, off the body, whatever you want. There's lots of amazing content and information about this class. On the links, you'll see the link to the classes. But if you go to my YouTube channel, there's all these past videos about what is body whispering, and we talk about it more. And I'm just going to wrap up and just say to you guys, Aradhana, a little while back, you just asked me, like, now with the world and with the changes and everything going online with Corona, like, how are you finding clients? How are you doing this? I have never been busier. The classes have grown rapidly during this period, and my work is expanding beyond. My team's literally doubled in the last 2 months. We are going through an extreme growth phase, but we're also going through an extreme change on the planet and in all realities, including this reality, where the ask and the need is for change. And so this is actually the time. And I say that to you based on whatever you're aware of, whatever work you do, whatever thing that you're struggling with reconciling within yourself. Go with your knowing because the world is screaming for change right now. All of the disharmony you see around you, and all of the pain and all of the dis-ease and the pandemic and the everything going on with riots and politics and all of that, it's all the different ways. So when I see that in a body, it's the body screaming when we haven't listened to the whispers, and the body needs attention, the body needs facilitation, and the body's ready to change. When we're seeing that in our world around us, our world and our planet is screaming, the old way isn't working. It's time for us to step up. It's time for us to choose. It's time for us to contribute to creating the change that it's time for. So it's time. I didn't expect to be busier than ever. I didn't expect to make more money than ever during this period. That's what's happened in my business. That's what's happening in my business. This is possible for you too. I invite you to choose it. We have the free Facebook group, Monetize Your Business. Again, you'll have the links. These are all just resources to help you become aware of these things.
Awesome. Thank you. I think, Adeela, we can go on, and it's never ending. But thank you so much for such a, I'm sure it's very, very contributive, and it will really open up so much for the world. I'm so grateful. I think I'm never enough of you. But thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
And thank you everybody who showed up for this talk show. And if it was contributive, please share with your friends and let them hear it out. Life can be easy, it can be fun if you really choose it and never give up and follow your heart. And you don't have to make your life tough to choose more and greater. And thank you, my team, Sonali, Ritu, Parata, Shivangi, all of you. Thank you, all of you, for the support. Without you, it would have not been so much of ease. Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Adeela, again. And
Thank you, team.
See you
Thank
next
you,
week, guys, 7 to 8.
everybody.
Yes.
Guys.
Bye.
Bye.